Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming back and listening to episode 2 here. Thank you for everyone who listened to episode 1 about starting something new. Hopefully that inspired you to start a new hobby or business in your life. And I appreciate that very much. We're doing a little night podcasting today. So for those watching us on all platforms, and by all platforms, I mean only Spotify, we have some red lights on. It's kind of like that Roxanne song by The Police. Put on the red light. I said, put on the red light. All right. I'll stop right there because I figured most of y'all didn't join to hear me sing The Police. Anyways, let's get started. I wanted to talk about something that has been increasingly been a part of my life and a part of focus, really. And that's my cell phone. I've seen my cell phone creep its head into almost every corner of my life. And my goal for this series really is to simply bring awareness to the cost of over-relying on our phones. Instead of simply going over why we should just get off our phones, I thought it would be beneficial to set a question for the series. And the question is, could your life be more joyful with less phone usage? I don't plan to tell you what to do. You're at liberty to use your phone in your day-to-day life as much as you see fit. I just wanted to present you with a question of could your life be more joyful with less phone usage? So before we begin on some of the costs that I observed when it comes to attention and using your cell phone, I actually wanted to start to talk about why our phones are useful. They're amazing tools, and I know there'll be some pushback on some of the points that I'm going to make, and rightly so. So I thought it'd be good to address them right off the bat. I broke them out into 5 categories, and there are probably more categories, but I thought that this is a good starting point. Number 1, education. Our phones are great educational tools, right? You can learn anything on your phone. If you have something wrong with your car, there's a video of how to fix it. You can learn an instrument. You can learn a language. There's unlimited information out there for you. So it's a great tool for education, and I don't think that we should stop using it. The second category is connection. How amazing is it that we can connect with family and friends over FaceTime, when they're away? You get that face-to-face connection. Or you have a family member living in a different state and you can see what they're up to via pictures and social media. Online dating is huge now, right? You can meet people and find connection from your couch. You don't have to necessarily go out, which has cons in itself, but we're not there yet. The third category is efficiency. How nice is it to have directions on your phone? You have directions, which is saving you time of printing out map quests. I'm old enough to remember map quests. I'm not old enough to remember big maps in the car, but I remember map quests and printing out sheets of paper. Shopping. You can buy anything on your phone, anything at all that you need, and it could be at your house almost the next day. The fourth category I have is work, right? We're able to work from anywhere. I see people sending and taking calls and emails from the golf course. That's awesome. And we're able to create businesses using social media and our cell phones. And the last category is entertainment. I mean, it's awesome to have an option to escape, right? You have music. I myself love a good golf YouTube video, right? You can entertain yourself while you're working out. Now, these are all amazing advancements. And by no means am I going to suggest that we all go back to a flip phone and move off grid. I'm just suggesting that we ask ourselves the question, could our lives be more joyful with less phone usage? So let's begin. First off, we need to get really clear what we're dealing with here when it comes to a cell phone. I know it may sound harsh, but the cell phone is a drug. And just because I'm calling it a drug doesn't make it bad. There are plenty of drugs that are keeping people alive. It has a physiological effect on us. Our phones and the things that we do on our cell phones have an effect on the way that our minds and bodies function. What we watch, do, and consume on our phones have an effect on us. The main point here is not to scare anyone into phone sobriety, but it's just to raise awareness into what we're dealing with. And when we think of it as a drug, it changes our relationship with the device, and it's not some free-for-all device in our pocket, and we can choose whether we want to use it or not. If you take caffeine and alcohol as an example, most people decide to use caffeine in the morning, right? They don't do it at night. Why? Well, because there's a cost of having it at night. It may keep you up at night, right? Alcohol, the same thing. Most choose to have alcohol at a party or after work to relax. They don't have it during work because the cost of drinking during work might get you in trouble with your boss. Now, of course, unless you work for an alcohol company, then party on. But traditionally, most people aren't drinking at work, right? So how does the phone affect our attention, and what are the costs? So first, it's important to understand attention. Our attention could be our most valuable asset. What we are focusing on is what we are experiencing in our life. The main point here is this: the cost of our attention on our phone is the other things that we could be doing in our lives, right? And the reason we know this is because we can only place our attention at one thing at a time. As much as we want to say that we can multitask, in reality, we're just moving quickly from task to task, right? We all know people we're watching a TV show with, but they're on their phone and they ask a million questions. What's going on? Why? Because you can't do both at the same time, right? Or you're in a conversation with somebody and they're kind of doing this texting thing, and they look up and they, oh, wait, what did you say? Because you can't have a conversation by texting and talking to somebody. We can only do one thing at a time. So the phone does a really good job of grabbing our attention away from every sector of our life, whether that's socially, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It doesn't matter. It's taking the attention away from those things and putting it on itself. So we can't grow in these areas if we're always paying attention to what is going on in our phones. The point I'm trying to hone in on is when we are on our phone, we are missing out on doing something that will bring us real happiness and excitement. This might be serving the community or a friend, starting a new hobby or a business, paying attention to your health and wellness. It may just be some good family time. But when we're on our phones, we're not able to do those other things deeply, right? That's where our attention lies. So it got me to think, how powerful is our attention really? And I started to recognize that typically when we place our attention on something for an extended period of time, it grows for us. We have the ability to affect our life by simply placing our attention in the area of our life that we want to improve in. This is step one, right? Step one is noticing, okay, I want to make a change here, but that actually requires you to have your attention on that area. Have you ever heard of the 10,000 hour rule? Well, this was popularized by Malcolm Gladwell. And I took this definition from Google, so bear with me here. It suggests that achieving world-class expertise in any complex skill requires about 10,000 hours of dedicated practice. So in layman's terms, if you do something for 10,000 hours and you're paying really good attention to it, you'll be able to do that at a world-class expertise level of any complex skill. Okay. So I took myself as an example. I said, I would say on average, I probably have over my entire phone career, which I estimated to be about 14 years, I had about 6 hours on my phone a day. 6 hours on my phone a day for the entire year comes out to 2,184 hours. I then divided that by my amount of waking hours per year. So 16 hours every day for the entire year comes out to 5,824. That's 37.5% of my time, of my waking time, is on my phone. And I'm going to say 38 because I think it makes the argument a little bit better. 38% of my waking time was on my phone. That's a lot. That was like pretty astounding to me. I said to myself, was all that time necessary? Over 14 years, that would be 30,576 hours on my phone. Now, if I'm doing something of one of those 5 categories that's going to save me time and efficiency or educate myself, yeah, that's time well spent. But how many of those hours were used for useless entertainment or just nothing? It's an interesting exercise that we can do with ourselves. And the glaring attention grabs typically sit in the connection and entertainment categories, as I described earlier. The first one is what I call monitoring. This is where your attention is on your phone and you're just monitoring whether you're going to get a text or not, or an update. You're out to dinner with your family, but you're not really there, are you? You're wondering if your crush is going to text you. So you're missing out on that family time because your attention is on your phone, right? You're constantly, I found this to be so true when I was walking around my house and I said to myself, my attention's always on my phone. When's the next update? When's the next text? When's the next work email? When's the next, whatever it is, it's on my phone. It wasn't on the present moment of whatever I was doing. And the second, a little bit more obvious one is doom scrolling or the excessive content or excessive entertainment consumption. Sometimes we can spend hours on our phone doing that. And that's hours, for a little time. I'm not saying it's all wasted, but how much of it is? And did we scratch that entertainment itch? You would think after, like I said, I had 30,000 hours on my phone. How much of that was used towards useless entertainment? I didn't scratch that entertainment itch. It only makes me want to do it more. All I did was make a habit of injecting stimulation into every crevice of my life, right? I'm in the bathroom, pull out the phone. I'm in the elevator, pull out the phone. In the car, you wake up, there the phone is. You go to bed, here's your phone. So moving forward, remember when I had said that our attention could be our most valuable asset? Well, I know some folks out there are if you ain't talking money, I don't want to talk. Well, all right. The average Super Bowl commercial, it's the big game on Sunday, is $7 to $8 million for 30 seconds. Why? Well, it's quite obvious. It's because of the attention that the Super Bowl gets. It's the amount of eyes. We are giving away our most valuable asset more or less for free. And it's worth something to us. A lot of the times we think that we're using our phones for us. We're really not. We're really not. We're really making other people money. That's what's growing. I'd mentioned what's growing here when we place our attention on something. Are we growing things in our lives that we want to improve in? Or are we just kind of wasting away time? Now, I managed to get through most of the episode without even mentioning the obvious effects of our attention span, which is getting smoked by short form content, which in turn just makes it even harder to actually focus on the challenging things that we want to accomplish and really just deters us from even starting. So to wrap up here, I wanted to end on an inspiring note. These companies creating apps, creating these phones, they have the smartest behavioral scientists in the world to make it more addicting to use. So moving forward, the first thing that we can do is give ourselves a break, right? The odds have been stacked up against us a little bit. And I don't think it was maliciously. It's just the nature of the beast. And so what can we do to make change? And the first thing that we can do is notice when our attention has been on our phone. Notice when we've been scrolling for 5 to 10 minutes and then just say, I'm good. There's a ton of ways to help you get away from the phone. And it starts with little habits. And just to name a few, no phone an hour after waking up or going to bed. There are devices now that you can buy that will lock you out of your favorite apps. You want to make it fun? Have a no phone party. That'll be the best party of the year. I would love to attend a no phone party. We would actually have to communicate with each other. Don't make it complicated. The less you're on your phone, the more you get to place your attention on your life. And I promise it's a hell of a lot more entertaining than that attention-grabbing BS on your phone. That's all I have for you today, folks, and I will talk to you next time.